YouTube.
Oh, yeah, good. Yeah, I paid $67 for it on, how do you pronounce it, Fiverr? Or,
Fiverr? Yeah, Fiverr. I use Fiverr all the time for my business.
Yeah, and I had to switch up the music, find my own royalty-free stuff. Like, he just had, like that super corporate music. You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah, I'm not dealing with that.
No.
But,
no. You need something more hip.
Yeah. So I found one that wouldn't piss off YouTube with royalty stuff, and I timed it okay to the movements that I couldn't change within the picture. So yeah, I'm glad you like it. All right, rock and roll. I think you can see my chart. Yeah, so most of this day was looking pretty saggy.
Wait, I do not see your chart.
You did not. Perfect. Thank you for saying that. Screens, bam, boom. Okay, we're live. All right,
there you go.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of an in-a-day attack. The whole day on the daily candle not looking very good after the previous day. So go to the daily, take off this EMA fill. It's kind of a cool situation. The cool situation is yesterday at the end of the day had a lot of sell pressure. So you had a green day with a big wick at the top, which usually isn't the greatest. This whole day was slumpy. It was red for half the day, looking kind of bad after that strong sell-off from this blue line. That's typically not the most bullish thing. And then after a sloopy day, like red half the day or just barely green, after this wick, it zooms up in the last, hour? Last hour of the day, and it's going to be interesting to see what this candle does, particularly at the beginning. I don't know. I don't have best guesses. Obviously, it could, continue to come up to four, just straight fours, 44, 444, or it could just develop a wick up to, just a little bit higher and then turn into a red day. Obviously, those would be the two most likely scenarios, either go up or down. I can't tell which way it's going to go right now because some of the indicators are mixed. The daily time frame is definitely pretty bullish. On the 4 hour, I simply thought that I didn't like this rejection enough, a series of lower highs. And right as Bitcoin was finding support here, although if you zoom down on the 5 minute, it did hold this line pretty well as support. There's nothing concerning here. There's nothing too concerning, but it was the lower time frame. Now I'm on the 2 hour chart. It was the lower time frame stuff. I was thinking that this could be a last gasp of air before it rolls over hard after getting actually rejected from the bullish control zone, go under its EMA, one more gasp of air, and that's kind of when it was doing all that support stuff. I thought, these could really roll over. That's why I decided to go, and I went about midway short, and to hedge my bets on my short positions, I got more XRP on spot, and unfortunately XRP is not moving with Bitcoin. I should have bought Ethereum or just straight up Bitcoin with my spot hedge instead of going long on something while I'm mostly short. I bought spot, and that's what I was thinking. Oh, also the 4 hour having at that time had gotten rejected here under there. It looked like last gasp of air right there, first lower high. That still could roughly be what's going on. If you go back historically, usually if you find the RSI after having gotten rejected twice by the bullish control zone hanging out here in the middle, you don't see pumps. I mean, like it'd be, honestly, let's just try it. I mean, you don't see pumps from that type of situation there, which gave me a little bit more confidence in knowing I wasn't going to get too crazy screwed shorting. So get rejected by the bullish control zone. Something like whatever happened here, rejected by the bullish control zone, rejected again. What happened there? And price did make some just moderate down movements. What else does it look like? You typically just don't get a pump from that area. It kind of looks like this as well. This is a little sloopier though, because it didn't actually touch the bullish. Where's a good example? Here. This is a good example. Something to this effect, but more like on the second one after it. So it got rejected from the bullish control zone, and then it reset, came up, got a lower high, went under, last gasp of air right here. And I was thinking Bitcoin could be getting ready to do something just like that. Which it still might be in the last phase of doing that. See how it kind of went up at the end? That actually made the highest high. But that's kind of what I'm seeing on the 4-hour. Looks like the 4-hour wants to roll over before it tries to do anything more. I'm not necessarily calling for a big ass drop like this, but rather a nice moderate one where I could trade off of. That's what I was seeing, and but I will let you know the daily chart is not looking bearish at all quite yet. It's looking pretty good. Go to the daily, put on the EMA fill. I mean, it looks like it's whoever just coughed, just a heads up, you're not on mute, and just so you don't say something you don't want us to hear. It is getting ready to flip green, and it has been used. It came above, used as support. So I mean, the daily is honestly a pretty good posturing. The RSI hasn't even made it up to the green zone yet, so this could. I mean, if just the daily RSI, so counter to what I was thinking, but what I was thinking is the daily. If all that short-term time frame down stuff, it would only just come down to recheck this. So all the stuff I was looking at and kind of thinking, it would just mean that, and then Bitcoin could continue going up. That's all it would mean. And I would trade within that first tick right here. And then I would close my positions and potentially look for longs. But this looks, in general, though, a longer time frame daily. If the daily just touches this, that's probably going to be close to 50K, if not 52. Like, simply getting here. If it can get all the way in there, and it's, I guess, halfway there, it would really start moving as it gets up here. And it's looking pretty healthy. A lot of series of higher lows. Not all higher highs, but a big series of higher lows. The, what do you call it? Take off the RSI itself, and just the EMA has a positive slope, and it is above this with a positive slope for the first time since October of last year. So that is also actually, well, it did it for a second here as a fake out, which that could be what's happening here as well. But it is the first time since this point here that it has a positive slope above, or no, I guess since here it had a positive slope, but that's still October, since October of last year. So that's kind of special too. The daily is looking pretty good. I was simply looking for downside moves. I still might be able to score them if this comes down and just hits this line one more time. Allows this EMA fill to catch up, and then it boosts hard off of both at the same time. Let the EMA fill get green, but keep moving sideways, touching the origin line until it's there. That's kind of what I think is going to happen, but Bitcoin doesn't care what I want it to happen. That's just what I'm visualizing right now. And instead of continuation straight up to 45 right away. That is what I'm looking for. So right now, I mean, I'm thinking today's going to be red, but I will let you know very, very specifically that the confidence level of that isn't very high, and I am totally ready to bail and be out of my shorts very, very quickly. Like I know it could go either way. So I'm not in confident shorts. It's just when I'm on a roll, I think I had like 10 or 11 in a row that were all I closed in profit. A few of them only like $80 in profit, whatever. But I mean, so I wanted to trade more, and I decided to let's do it. But a lot of times though, when I'm that unsure of that setup, in this situation here, I would just choose not to trade and wait for a better setup. However, I'd been on a roll, so I'm going to be in the trade, know when to bail, and that's personally what I'm doing right now. And I think the crackheads and VIPs, I shared with you what I'm in, and yeah, so that's what we got for Bitcoin. It could either go up or go down. Honestly, if it gets to this line again, I bet it breaks it. If it gets up to 43.3, I think it's going to try to keep going. I don't see it getting rejected twice by this sucker. Yeah, and I don't even think it needs to close a daily above that. If it can close an hour above 43.3, I think the move will start heating up to the upside. One counter thing to that, it could hit it, make a lower high, and then want to bust out, which would be more in line with the idea that it's waiting on the EMA fill to catch up to here, but it doesn't ever quite get to the origin line. Something like that could happen, but even if it closes an hour above 43.3, so it's not guaranteed 43.3 level, but an hour closure, hour closure above 43.3 would probably be a good indicator that probably not looking for shorts for quite a while. Or 4 hour, whatever you hold weight on in terms of candle closures. And I think that's it for my basic Bitcoin overview real quick. If I want to, if Cryptilians, specifically Cryptilians, this is your 1 to 2 half hours a week. Go ahead and fire away with questions. If I have Cryptilians on here, I'm not for sure yet. I didn't look at the list. All right. Anybody. Does anybody want me to take a look at something specific, regardless of tier?
How about Trias on the 1 hour?
Okay. Wow.
I'm looking at that weekly 10, and I'm thinking there might be, if Bitcoin pumps, this might be a nice pick.
Well, why is the weekly Trias USD? Okay. Oh, weekly 10 way up there. Oh, a move to it. Yeah.
Keep going up.
Yeah. That would be a pretty big spot trade if it were just to get up there and touch it, which this doesn't look like a horrible formation. 50% trade would be huge. Yeah, I agree. I think that you should share that setup, man, with, whatever chat rooms like Trias chat room or whatever. That doesn't look very bad right now.
I'm actually kind of heavy into that right now.
Yeah. I think that's a fantastic setup. And I've been kind of going for the same thing. I was wanting to catch a lot of coins going from a good posturing to the weekly 10, and that honestly has a great posturing, and it's got a great distance up to it.
Look at the RSI EMA on the 1 hour.
Yep, looks like it could get a really good bounce from here. It looks like it wants to be ready. What's the 8 hour? 8 hour looks ready. That looks indecisive. Not sure what the 4 hour is doing. You got a lower low there. But Trias is so volatile, it doesn't really have to follow similar RSI. Like, look, here, it had a lower low. Well, I guess it was his first higher low under here, so that's not true at all. I consider that a higher low to that one. Because nothing above here, in my opinion, is a low. So that's not quite the same. Lower low. Let's see here. I bet it. Lower low than pump. 4 hours a little indecisive. It might not be ready for a minute. The 8 hour looks good. The 12 hour agrees a little with the 4 hour. You might have to wait a day and a half on that. The daily looks good, though. The daily looks like it really wants this to race up to here. That would take it up to the weekly 10. So from a daily standpoint, it looks pretty good. The 1 hour saying it wants to give it a try. But what might happen is the 1 hour might have to wait on the 4 hour to start making a higher low, which would only probably take a day. I don't know what your time frame expectations are on it, but it might take another day.
That's fine. For a 50% move, I can wait a little bit.
Yeah, that's the right mentality to have. I could wait a week for that, and that'd still be a good. 50% up every week of your life, you'd be a millionaire like very quickly. You've started with like $1,000. That'd be huge. Absolutely. All right, I'm just gonna drink coffee straight from the. I guess you can't see me, but. I didn't bring a cup, or I thought I had my mug out here, so I just brought my whole coffee pot. And then my mug's not out here, so I'm drinking it from the coffee pot. All right, who else has got? Look at SYLO, like this. Look at this. This is just the most regular dang thing I've ever seen in my life. Like, how many times can it work just to buy wicks below this? And then you're in a 40% trade, just like even halfway up. That's 40% halfway up. It's been working since May of last year. That's almost a year of the same thing. I almost tried it this time. I was like, no, but it might have more risk of falling down. I was so close. Because it has enough liquidity to throw a few $1,000 at it, right? And I wanted to do it because it's been working. But Yeah, there's nothing else like this in crypto right now that I can find. Outside of all this, not counting just the idea that it literally is the same thing over and over, in a horizontal fashion. I guess there are some where you have your ranges like this, like Ultra UOS kind of is doing the same stuff within a pattern that way, but a horizontal standpoint, nothing else is doing that. All right, who else has got stuff you want to talk about? Probably.
If there's no Cryptilians that have any questions, I got a money on the line question.
Do it.
So I took a long on Mana at $2.51. Looked like it just broke out. I'm wondering why I should take some profits.
That's a good setup. 251. This one's really going. That's a great setup, man. So there, pump, higher, low, boom. So you got it like somewhere around there. It's moving pretty fast. It depends on what you want. How long do you want to hold this sucker? And what are you trying to do with this trade? Are you an in and out person?
Yeah, more or less. I'm kind of in and out.
I mean, a lot of times if I'm on 5x leverage, I get my 4.5%, and I try to at least take half profits at that point. But this looks like it's moving pretty fast. So you,
yeah, I'm at my son.
Yeah, this looks like a pretty powerful move. But if Bitcoin does have a red day, it will come straight back down. Yeah, I mean, if you feel comfortable, and that's over a 4% move. If you hit your goal, then get out. Especially if you said you're at your son's, or you said you're not necessarily by your computer or whatever to be watching this.
Yeah, exactly. I'm at my son's baseball practice, so I'm kind of got distracted. But
yeah, so
yeah, I mean,
just you could do that. You could either, if you're there and you have the ability to just market sell out, you could either do that, or you could simply move your stops into profit and come check it out when you get home. Either or, just either lock in your.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, or do half. Take half, market sell half now, move your stops into profit. You're guaranteed a profitable trade. You could do that as well.
That sounds like a plan right there. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. And you can probably do that from your phone real quick in like 30 seconds or whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'll set a little stop loss. I mean, any idea on the ranges where it might reach up to? I mean, it looks like it spiked up pretty quick. It might come down pretty hard too.
Yeah, I mean, I bet it would want to come revisit this green line at 255. If it, when it comes back down, I would guess that maybe 256 for Mana. Yep, that's what I would say for the time where you might want to look. If Bitcoin's still strong and it comes back down, that could be a good reentry, and then you could freaking long it all over again. And that all might happen by the time you get home. And if, let's see here, your stops could be just under that. Your stops could be in profit at you could put them at 253 because you get out at 251. You said, right?
Yes.
So you could hide it at 2538 or something like that. 2538 or 2540, something like that. Hide it under that this green, I guess, trend line or whatever the hell I got going on there. And then when you get home, you that money that you sold half of it, it could potentially be rebounding. At that point, you're still in the other half of your trade. You add back, and then you play it all over again. That could be what happens if Bitcoin's strong. Bitcoin must be really moving. Yep. Who else has got something? Money on the line or whatever you got.
Yesterday for gods, she told me to follow up with you. It did exactly. So I got out. Remember yesterday I got out after the 30% gain, and it went down to exactly the 119. So I bought 100% again at 119, and it shot up again. But I was about to get out at 30%, but for the first time in months, it finally closed a 4-hour candle above the 200.
Yeah, it
So,
did.
so I'm like, you know what? I'll just put stop loss, and I'm just gonna ride it.
Yeah, you could just keep your stops where you can't get hurt and see if that could squeeze. Yeah, you can get like I mean, especially on the 4 hour, if the 21 or usually like the 55. If the 55 gets all the way above, which it's approaching pretty damn fast, and it's already used the 55 as support. So that it could end up being a powerful move. And if you're able to hold into that, let's see here, it gets up to something like that could be raw price of. Is it a spot trade?
Spot, yeah.
Yeah, that could turn into a 65% move within a week easily.
Perfect.
I don't think that's a bad plan.
Perfect.
I would like to ask something about Polkadot.
Perfect. All right, fire away.
What do you expect it to do? Because I saw your message about what you expect from ADA to happen also to DOT.
Yeah, ADA made a higher high. DOT, I'm about ready to. I think ADA, I'm out already. But DOT, I'm still in. It hasn't moved as much. So, what am I gonna do? Just let my stops do their work. But where I would have to go look at where they are. Let's see here. What I'm looking for is, I'm trying to figure out, is this simply going to be a wick of a red day? That's what I'm trying to look at. And I'm particularly looking at 43.3 as the key. If it closes even an hour above there, so this is an answer to that question. I'm going to try keeping short-minded until I see a 1 hour candle close above 43.3, and I will try to either let the stops do their work for Polkadot, make sure I'm not taking big losses, but this is where I would bail. If my stops aren't quite hit, but they're close, and I see a 1 hour candle close at 43.3 or above, I'm going to bail if my stops haven't gotten me all the way out. And a couple of them, like VRA, I'm still in profit, and I think DOT, I'm barely in profit, or it's right at break even right now. But on those that I'm watching and I don't have stop set, that's when I'd manually bail and just take my small loss. Is Bitcoin 1 hour closure 43.3 or higher? Because that would be the defining moment where it's extremely improbable that this is going to turn into a red wick. All this upward movement will likely not be a red wick of a red day. And that's what I'm doing. So for DOT right now, I specifically am going to do a manual stop out. Because I did get fairly close to the top on that one, because I scattered orders. Some of them didn't even get filled. I can't remember how I did it, but I put a box up I don't know exactly how I did it, but something like that. And I caught a lot of it. So that I think is an answer to your question. Do you want me to say something much more specific? For example, you got in at at $20.90. You're at a 2% loss right now. What should you do? Do you want to ask something more specific like that? Because I gave you a more general answer on how I'm manually going to get out, and maybe that's not what you want.
Actually, I had a position in it, and I sold yesterday. So I stepped out too early, and I'm looking a way to get back in, but I'm
for a long.
Not sure. Yes.
So you are long, and that's fine. The daily chart is pretty freaking bullish. And my mindset for shortness is only on the micro time frames. So it looks pretty hot, man. I wouldn't try jumping in right now. So a general rule of thumb is try to find a trend line roughly that's a 45-degree angle, something like that. Wait till it hits it, or use one of the most magical, and not the most important, but it might be the most magical EMA in all of crypto land, is the 1 hour 200 EMA. When you get back in, it probably should be touching that or wicking below. And that's the easiest answer I can give. If you see that much distance between the 1 hour 200 EMA and your price, and you want to go long, you find another coin. In the meantime, and just try to take profits on that if you see a better setup, and once you take profits, and then you can that'll buy you a day or two for this to come down and touch this at some point. It might not touch it for 4 days, but at least you can make a better, safer bet somewhere else, and then come with theoretically more profit and hit this harder, because you're not just sitting there waiting without doing anything. Am I making sense there? So I would go play something else, even if it's a spot trade. But if you wanted to do futures, I mean, that Trias setup looked okay. There are a few others that look okay, but if you want to be long, I wouldn't jump into this until that happened. Therefore, I would go hunt, hit that long, take my profits, especially if DOT has a nice retracement as that one's taking profits, and that's probably how I would play. I would cross coin play it if I were long.
Actually, I put a buy order in for about $1.50 beneath the price now, so
1.5, but that's about what exactly, because that's almost the exact same game plan. Look, that's
right,
roughly the slope, and if it came down to touch it, that'd be $1.50 lower than where it is now.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah. That's interesting. How you said it, but it actually aligns pretty perfectly, especially if it starts coming back down to it now. I think that's a good game plan, and that does match with what I was suggesting. So who's feeling a big green so before we wrap this up, who here is feeling that today's candle is going to be nice and green on Bitcoin? Who's feeling that? So I honestly don't know. I think it's about a 50-50 personally. But who's feeling more than 50? Like, even if it's 52%, big green day. Who is it?
I'm with you on that. I think it's more than 50%.
That it's going to be a green day? Okay, so you think it's better than 50% chance it'll be a nice big green day?
Yeah, just the way it's been consolidating, in the 42 range. That's my thoughts.
Okay. All right. Well, you're not with me on that. I'm kind of the opposite. I think it wants to play around the origin line a little bit longer before a big move up. I think it wants to be boring for a little while. But I don't think the odds of that are just fantastic. It's just my best guess at the moment, and it's probably better than no one else's guess. But the daily chart, if you specifically analyze the daily chart, it absolutely agrees with you on that. The daily chart is saying this is gonna like hit 44.5 probably. That's kind of what this is implying. All right, cool. So we got one big green candle. Are there any other big green candle people? Because I'm a red candle. So this day candle is only 31 minutes old. I actually said that at the exact right second. It was exactly 31 minutes old. I think it's going to be a small or medium red candle. So who's on team green candle, who's on team red candle, and who's on team doji? Which means it just goes up and down a little bit and ends where it started.
Yeah, I'm more on the over 50% chance of a green day. I feel like there's enough momentum. Look, I feel like we've had a green momentum on the MACD on like the 5 days, and I think on the 6 days as well. And I think it's about to flip for the weekly. So I feel like there's enough momentum to kind of tilt the needle towards the green day.
All right, good. All right, any other green days out there? No pun for the band or anything. Are there any red day people?
I think I'll go for a red day.
Yeah, I'm going for a red day that at least touches 41.9 or 42, and then maybe closes somewhere up here. So almost like red doji. All right, so we got one red day. Any other red day people out there? I want to know what you're thinking. All right, so in summary, in regards to red day, green day, I really think the magical number to determine when those odds flip like way in favor of a green day is just a 1 hour closure above 43.3. If it can get that, I think the odds go, I mean, they skyrocket. 80+% chance. Honestly, right now, depending on the chart you're on, the daily chart is indicating in and of itself, not including the 2 hour, the 4 hour, the weekly, or whatever, just the daily. The daily is probably saying it's like 60-70% chance green day. Just interpreting the daily chart and all of its technicals. Yeah. And for me, for some reason, I just have a feeling that what I'm looking for on the micro time frames is for the really small time frames to make the RSI go like that. Hit 42K, 41.9, and then we consolidate, kind of gets boring, whatever. Goes sideways, and then goes up. And so I'm trying to make a little bit of money off of that, since I already made money off the long. I was long for a while, made good, I think 2 or 3 days of longs. So I thought, well, I don't want to run out of luck here. And right now stuff is so choppy that the trend being your friend, I mean, the trend is chop. So it's kind of hard to let, right now the definition of trend within this context is really difficult. And honestly, the trend it's actually just ping-ponging around this trading channel. Like, that is the only trend. But technically the trend right now, I think the daily trend is technically up. So you got a 2 candle correction, and then you closed above that high. So the daily trend is technically up. The week is higher low is still in a no trend because this is still not closed. If it can close above 42.3 or so, above those, it would be in an uptrend. So we have a daily uptrend, a weekly no trend. What else do we got? Is price of, I think price is still significantly below the monthly 10, right? Yeah, so it might, but if it gets up there, I think it's going to really pass it. What else do we got? We're using the magic line of support, the 1 hour 200 EMA. This all looks really good. Another thing supporting Team Green Day is this right here. This almost made me back out of my game plan, but I just felt like I was eagle-eyeing the short-term time frame is going to pull back the daily just a tiny bit. But this is really actually what about made me say, you know what, I'm going long instead. I was on the fence. It never used this as resistance. I think it did for a hot second there. It did it, but then it aggressively got above on the very short term. This is the master origin line. And so only one baby rejection then massively made up for it. Used it as general support. This was the more compelling, just so you know what is, how my brain works. Like that is, here, take off that line to be less distracting. Just the fact that it didn't use it as at resistance, I thought that was the most compelling thing. And I almost did stuff like set my short positions for Cardano way up high and for AXS up high, for Veracity. I almost did that plus a Bitcoin short. So I almost decided to do that, but then I was like, man, it looks like it might want to, it was somewhere down here. It looks like it might want to roll over. Then obviously after three or four higher highs, actually, no, I still thought it could roll over right here. I thought this was going to be a potential lower high. It still looked like it could roll over, but anyway, that is what we got. That's what was going through my mind, especially for Cryptilians and VIPs who saw the trades I've gotten in and out of today. Good thing I bailed on my XRP short while I was still in decent profit, and I forgot to mention I had $20 of slippage. So, God, I did not expect that. I gotta stop market selling. I thought there was enough. Like I swear, I looked at the order book. There was more than enough liquidity, and it wasn't from the fees. But anyway, forgot to mention on that. I'm dealing with some pretty bad slippage issues, even when the order book says the liquidity's there. Yeah, I think we're good for the Cryptilian tier, unless one Cryptilian has one more quick question, specifically a Cryptilian. All right. Well, it's going to be cool how today is. Remember, the most important thing is an hour closure above 43.3. I won't say it guarantees a green day, but that's green day insurance. 43.3, a 1 hour closure. All right, I'm gonna jump on the crackhead call. We'll see Cryptilians tomorrow around it's 2 or 2:30 New York time. You can look at the schedule. It's around that time. We'll see you tomorrow. I can't wait to see you. Bye.